All right, my friends, let's wrap up this chapter, shall we? So, job order costing is used for the financial statements, but you may remember that the amount of overhead applied to all jobs during the period is different from the actual amount of overhead costs incurred. And the reason for that is because our predetermined overhead rate is calculated at the beginning of the year using estimates. So it's very unlikely that our estimates are going to be exactly in line with reality. So at the end of the day, that's going to result in us either under applying overhead if we estimate the overhead too low, or over applying overhead if we estimate the overhead too high. And we ultimately need to fix that. And we'll talk more about how to fix it in our next chapter, chapter 3. So that's something to look forward to. But what you should understand at this point is if you under apply overhead, that means you didn't apply enough cost. So to fix that, you're going to end up having to apply more cost, which in turn is going to make your cost of goods sold go up. Because if you add additional cost, it makes the expenses go up and then the net income go down. Yep, my friends, you got to know your 502 stuff. So if we didn't apply enough cost, when we fix it, we add more cost, which increases expense and in turn decreases our net income. And then the adjustment for over-applied overhead, that means we applied too much. So to fix it, we got to back off some expense, thus decreasing it, which in turn makes our net income pop up at the end of the period. Let's talk about some more exciting vocab. We have all of those different job cost sheets for all of our jobs collectively form what's referred to as a subsidiary ledger. And this is going to be the support that we need for all the numbers that show up on our financial statements. The job cost sheets are going to provide the underlying information for the work in process and finished goods that show up on our balance sheet. Because remember, the jobs are our inventory. So if they're not complete, they're part of work in process. And when they're done, they become finished goods. And then finally, when we sell them, those job cost sheets would then become the backup for our cost of goods sold. Remember, we don't expense these jobs until we sell them. So while we're producing them and while they're waiting to be shipped to the customers, they're considered an inventory asset and they only get expensed when we actually go and sell them. You might say to yourself, why are we going through this discussion about manufacturing? There's no way I'm going to work for a manufacturer. Well, you never want to say never, number one, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. But you maybe are right, and you will instead work probably for a service company. Well, our focus has been on manufacturing, but job order costing can be used in the service industry. You got to figure out how much each job costs. So I'm a lawyer. I got to figure out how much does it cost to actually service my client. I'm an accounting firm. How much does it cost to conduct an audit of the client? I'm in medical treatment. Well, how do I figure out the total cost of servicing a patient? So it doesn't matter if you're in a service industry, you're still going to have to do this same type of process where you allocate the direct materials, though those might be a lot lower in a service industry. You allocate your labor, which would probably be a lot higher in a service industry. And then you're still going to have overhead costs that need to get allocated as well to that service. So the same process can be done in the service industry. We focus on manufacturing because it's kind of easier to visualize tangible goods going through a manufacturing plant. And if you can't visualize it, YouTube can provide you some nice examples of manufacturing. Google how it's made, and they'll give you all sorts of different options and videos. And that, believe it or not, my friends, is the end of Chapter 2. So please make sure that you do the practice material that's available on Canvas. Professor Knowles is going to be providing some videos for you as well. You want to be utilizing those and helping you go through a series of practice problems. The key to this class is practice, 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 and when you can't take it anymore, you know what to do. Practice again.